Hello, our friends. Welcome to day 5 of our 5-day challenge called What's My Book? If you're here today, first of all,
A
congratulations.
round of applause.
A round of applause. A
Yeah,
round of applause. We are so proud of you. We
yeah.
want to acknowledge you. You are our superhero because you know what, quite frankly, it's hard to do something every single day for 3 days, let alone 5 days.
It
And
takes a lot of stamina, and I really am. I applaud all of you for showing up. It takes a lot of stamina to and commitment to be like, you know what, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. I am going to be at my computer and I am participating.
And if you're here, you have done that. We're proud of you. So today we are going to be talking about taking everything that you've done from day 1, talking about why entrepreneurs need a published book, to day 2, defining your audience and building your outreach strategy. Day 3, uncovering your book's core idea, which truly is the day that we identify what your book is. To day 4, and turning that book, that concept of what you want your book to be about, to mind mapping it out to the beginning of your outline, to today, which is once you've come to that point where you are ready to really start talking about your book, we're going to talk to you about turning your manuscript into millions. That's the title of my book, and that is what we're talking about today. So let's jump in.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first thing that I think is really important to acknowledge is that a lot of us get a little bit antsy when it comes to saying, you know, we want to generate $1 million in our business, or we want that word millions is very intimidating. And I don't want it to be, because if you desire to create a million or multi-million dollar business, good on you. We
I mean,
want that
go for
just
it.
as much for you. And at the same time, you get to define in this process of becoming a published author what exactly millions means. So today we're going to
Okay.
really define that millions word. The next thing is we really want to talk about what kind of opportunities does a book support as a marketing tool to help you get toward those millions, however you define that. And then we want to talk about really how will you publish, traditional, hybrid, self-published. Actually, we're going to start with a little survey. So we asked you at the very, very beginning of on day 1, we talked about the difference between traditional publishing, hybrid publishing or vanity publishing, and self-publishing. So we want to know, have you thought about the direction that you ultimately would like to go with your published book? Do you want to go the published route where you find an agent who helps you find a publisher that really kind of manages the process, and you're willing to give up some of those royalties and give up some of your copyright to really have that machine behind you? Do you want a little bit of, do you want to go the self-publishing route and you're going to find the team and manage the team and keep all of your royalties and own all of your copyright? Or do you want a hybrid of those two? So if you've thought about that, put it in the comments, because at the end, we kind of really want to see what y'all think about that. So now we want to talk about what does millions means, and we want to give you some insight into what others might think about that. So when we talk about turning a manuscript into millions, we're not necessarily just talking about $1 million in book sales. Success as an author can be measured in many different ways, really depending on your goals and your vision. Now, I also really want to be clear, it doesn't necessarily mean talking about $1 million in book sales, but there are authors, and there are authors just like you, just like me, just like Heather, who have made a great success in the millions with their books and literally leveraging it as a tool. So we're going to give you a few definitions of really what millions might mean, and what you can consider it might mean for you. So the first thing is, what kind of impact would you want to have? Do you want to reach millions of readers, inspire change, leave a legacy? When you think about the impact that having a book can provide for you, For you, that may very well be the success, the definition of success that you're looking for. It's not a number, it's really the impact that you make on a community, on a group of people, on your network, on the people that your book is meant to serve. Your driving force is making an impact. Opportunities. Do you want your book to generate more opportunities for you, from business deals and joint venture partnerships, speaking engagements, and talking on stages in front of hundreds, dozens, thousands of people, or using your book for media exposure, potentially worth millions to your business, to your brand, to you as an influencer, to you as someone who wants to be visible in front of a particular audience? Or leverage, really, do you want to use your book as a tool to grow your coaching practice, your consulting practice, your service-based business? And quite honestly, there are people that have product-based businesses that use a book as well to move people to purchase more of their products. And so using your book as leverage in your business is probably one of the greatest tools you can use it as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as someone who is really trying to grow and expand the work that you're doing. Anything from you, Heather?
No, I just think it's important, like the way that Naja is going through and defining millions, I think it really equates to whatever your definition of success is. So if you're thinking of, I want to use my book to get on stages or get on bigger stages and command bigger fees, then that could be your millions. It may not equate to $1 million as like a number, but that's your definition of success. So that would be your millions. So I just think millions here is, I just want everybody to remember what Naja said at the beginning, is that it doesn't necessarily mean $1 million if that's not your definition of millions or success.
And yeah, and you get to dream. You get to dream big. You get to dream in a way that feels right and fulfilling. And ultimately, we go back to day one, right? What is it that you want to use your book as a tool for? And we're going to really give you this methodology to go and to be able to define what millions means for you. And we want you to go through this and just really just pause and not make any vision that you may have wrong or too much or too grand or who do you think you are. We're not doing any of that here. This is all about creation and living out loud in a way that fulfills you and the life that you want to create for yourself. So we also, of course, want to talk about using your book and creating this definition around millions being revenue streams, expanding beyond just book sales into creating courses that complement your book, or membership communities that can use your book to bring people into this network or into your own community, paid events on stages or conferences or whatever that might be. All kinds of ways that you can leverage and create these revenue streams from this one tool that you publish that puts your genius into the pages of a book. Mm-hmm. Your definition of success is really all that matters, right? Your book should be the starting point of how you're defining millions, but it absolutely, and by no means is it the end goal. Okay, so what we want you to do is we want you to get your journal out, because we want you to start thinking for yourself about how you want to define millions. How do you want to start using your book to build your business, to gain authority, to become more profitable? What is it that how is it that you want to define millions for your book? Now, this is really important because it starts to help you create that plan for then how you're going to market your book. What kind of audiences do you need to get in front of in order to execute on the vision that you have for that millions, right? Are there media campaigns that need to happen? Is there a PR campaign that needs to happen? Is it connecting with other joint venture partners so that you can get in front of other people's audiences? So we want you to go through this process now So get your book out, get your journal. If you have not gotten your workbook, Jaspier, can you put the link to the workbook in the chat? It is not too late. We're still going to be providing the 5-day challenge for 48 hours, unless you have purchased the workbook, in which case you have the workbook and you have the challenge for life. So you can go through this not only for this first book that you're creating, but any book that you may create in the future. Okay, so step one, we want to identify your core goal, right? So just pause, ask yourself. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to ask yourself, what is the biggest outcome that you want from this book? And it's different for everyone. You might think that everyone wants to become famous, a famous author, or that everyone wants to make a ton of money from their book. But the reality is, our clients, when we talk to people, I have one client, she wrote a memoir. She grew up in Germany during Hitler era. And she grew up and she would go to these meetings with her family. Her family would be lured into these meetings, and they were giving them these huge dreams and huge hopes of what was to come. She had no idea what was happening. But as a woman looking back on that now, she basically was being sold a bill of goods. And for her, writing her book, The Millions was it was cathartic. It was getting out of her all of the angst and the sorrow that came from this experience as a young woman. So being able to tell that story, um, and being able to get it out of her, for her, that was the millions, right? So I want you to ask yourself, is the biggest outcome that you're looking to achieve, is it to generate income? Is it to establish credibility and authority? Is it to create a movement or start a conversation? Heather, you were talking earlier about your client whose core goal is to really start a conversation about financial literacy.
Yeah, so Rashia, we've talked about her throughout this week. She's the financial services expert who wrote a book to introduce young people into financial literacy. Well, the reason why she feels financial literacy is so important is she's trying to start conversations that lead to a movement of creating generational wealth for non-white families in America who have been denied that opportunity for so long. And so she knows she can't fight against the system that is built the way it is. And so she's working the system to work for her and her family. And she wants to make that happen for others.
Hmm. What I love about that is when people have that kind of driving force behind them to create something, and it's not money driven, it's not visibility driven, it comes from this like really core goodness. Oftentimes they end up generating money through their movement, right? And so sometimes what can happen is you create that income, you create that wealth, you create that millions by really focusing on the cause. And so I think that's actually I've seen that. I worked with a teacher. I think I'd shared earlier, I worked with a teacher. She wrote a book with her students called Freedom Writers. And we had that book, sent it to Hollywood. The book ended up becoming a movie with Hilary Swank playing the teacher that I ran her entire business, her publishing side and her speaking side. But her core focus wasn't to become famous by sharing this book or writing the book so that she could make money. It was to tell her students stories and to help them start to process all of the challenges and the difficulties that they went through in their life. So she was about creating a movement. From that, she created a movement. And what happened was she had this one side. So there was one side that was the foundation, and that was teaching other teachers to do what she did with their students. And there was this whole community of people that were growing and and transforming their students together. But on the other side, she started being asked to speak and write more books. And she started being invited to dinners at these places that she had never been invited to, and we were on private planes traveling all over the world with these wealthy people who just wanted to be around her. And she became a multi-millionaire, but not because that was her driving force. She didn't go into this to make money. And so to create a movement or start a conversation is a valid reason that you want to write your book. That is your millions, right? So I want you to just write down and jot down in your journal, identify your core goal for wanting to write this book. And we're just going to give you a quick second to really process that. If you want to share anything in the chat, please feel free. Okay. Now, so step one, identify your core goal. Step two, we want to now have you choose your monetization strategy. So once you define success, you can align your book strategy with revenue generating methods. So some of those options can include business growth, using your book to attract leads for coaching, consulting, or services, new opportunities, speaking engagements, positioning yourself as an expert in your field, which is often a big one that a lot of people who have books add speaking into their arsenal of revenue streams, because it's just a natural complement to for authors. Creating online courses and workshops. Some of the most unsuspecting people have created courses and workshops, because courses and workshops aren't just about business. They're not just about, teaching people how to publish. You can have a course or a workshop on anything. So online courses and workshops for expanding on your book's content to create a high value program that brings your reader in as a client into your community. Our CFO just came into the room, so we want you all to say hello to our Chief Financial Officer, Zeta Beta, and she manages our books, and she is the best CFO you will ever meet in your life. So please welcome her to our live experience here. So the next thing, and the next thing that we want you to consider as a monetization strategy are memberships and communities. So we're going to be sharing with you tonight our own membership, a way that you can continue the work that we're doing together, that you can continue to learn about publishing and expand your publishing knowledge. So memberships and communities offering continued education and engagement. And the beauty of memberships are you have people that, let's say, Naja Hayward as the CEO of Rainmaker Publishing and Heather Asiambi as part of the team. When we have a membership, we don't have to be the only brains in the room. The community starts to help the community. They support each other. They become accountability partners. They throw out ideas. They ask for support. They share a chapter, or they share a paragraph, or they say, what do you think of this as a topic or a title? Or do you know of a place where I can? And so your network becomes your community. They, in some sense, become your family of people of like minds. And so memberships and community are a great thing to add to your book monetization strategy. And then we have licensing and corporate sponsorships, selling bulk copies or licensing your book content for internal training. So, Miss P says, here are some of my ideas. Thank you for sharing. Yes, we want to hear. So Miss P says, here are some of my ideas. I provide a clear roadmap for incarceration preparation. 2, empower justice impacted individuals with knowledge and resources. And 3, reduce the stress and fear of the unknown. Okay, so I love this. Let me read this one more time. Provide a clear roadmap for incarceration preparation. Empower justice impacted individuals with knowledge and resources, and reduce the stress and fear of the unknown. So I would like to understand, when you provide a clear roadmap for incarceration preparation, is that for the family? You're preparing the family for someone who might be going and leaving the family? or is the preparation for the person who's actually going to jail themselves? I would love to know that. And so for you, have you identified, let me go back here. Ms. P, have you identified what is the biggest outcome that you want for your book? Do you want to generate income doing this work? Do you want to establish credibility and authority as someone who is an advocate? Or do you want to create a movement or start a conversation around incarcerated individuals and that roadmap that you're creating? So you said the family and the individual who will be going, all of the above. Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So then when you look at your monetization strategy, what you're going to do is so it's one thing to say, I want to do all of the above, but I want you to have identify one clear starting point. Right? So the starting point is going to be it's going to help you create that pathway and to create that map of how you're going to get there. But if you say, I'm going to do it all, then your roadmap becomes very convoluted, right? So I want you to first, before you say all of the above, I just want you to select one. I just want you to select one because that's going to be your excellent to creative movement. Excellent. And I think based on the limited information that we have, I think that creating a movement makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. First of all, I do want to share with you, when I was managing the teacher, she spoke at jails and at schools quite a bit. And jails actually do have, they have budgets for speakers. They have budgets for people to come in and to do different kind of classes. So they were actually paying for like yoga instructors to come in and do some teaching for the incarcerated individuals. So I want you to consider putting a list of jails that you could potentially speak to, or what is the place that someone would go before they're actually incarcerated that you could have access to start to have a pool of people that you can have the conversation with. You're a facilitator for one of the facilities here already. Excellent, great, that's excellent. So you have an in, which is a good starting point for you. So you identified your core goal as to create a movement or to start a conversation. So now when you look at step 2, choosing your monetization strategy, is there one of these items that feels like the strategy that you would like to create for the work that you're doing? Do you see this as business growth, using your book to attract leads for coaching? Do you see this as getting speaking engagements? Do you want to create a course? Do you want to create a community? Do you want to license your methodology inside of a training? What would make sense for what it is that you're doing? Think about that. Okay, so as you're thinking about that, we're going to move to step 3, and this is about building the long-term vision. So Heather and I were talking about this, and I think a lot of times people come in to writing the book and they have this immediate vision, and the immediate vision is basically, what am I going to do over the next 3, maybe 6, maybe year? That's what we see very often. But I think people forget that books have a very long life.
They're forever.
Books have a life beyond us.
They're basically forever.
Absolutely. Now, what we do to make sure that they stay in the world forever is called marketing, but their potential to stay relevant is infinite. And so I want you to ask yourself, how will I leverage my book? So we said 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years from now, but I want you to first start with that pre-launch. How am I going to leverage this book before the book even comes out? That's probably one of the juiciest times of a book's life. You have so much potential for PR, for getting on podcasts. People love to share. This book will be coming out. Stay tuned for this book's launch on a future date, right? And so it's very attractive from a content perspective in the pre-launch stage. The launch stage now becomes, this book was just released. So having a new release of a book is a phenomenal period of a book's life to also jump on that marketing bandwagon. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, your marketing doesn't end. The possibilities don't end. So I want you to really think about, how will I leverage my book 1, 3, and 5 years from now? So for Miss P, she says that speaking engagements is how she wants to leverage her book, which is phenomenal, because your book can then, you can create a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 1-year plan, of course, your launch and your pre-launch. But if you focus on that 1 year and you start identifying organizations, jails, um, groups that you can speak to, with speaking engagements being your core focus, that's money in the bank.
Mhm.
That you use this book as a tool to get into the door. And that's what you want. This is really a calling card to get in the door. It gives you immediate authority, immediate celebrity, and immediate validation that you know what you're talking about. So good. Keep going, Miss P. Excellent. So also, when you think of your long-term vision, you want to think about, what are other products, programs, or services that naturally follow your book. So it can be as simple as book 2 and 3. We've talked about that quite a bit over this last week, is not just having one book, but having a series of books that are all within the same arena of what it is that you teach, but you can have subtopics that become unique books of their own. So that can be one product, right? It can be, we talked about others having a program. So for you, you could have a program that men or women or young people or whatever. Remember, day 2 was identifying your audience. So yours isn't just incarcerated people. You have a very specific audience of incarcerated people. So when you are clear on that audience, then you can create a program that people can go through together. And now they have that internal support group.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a meeting set up already with judges. You have a meeting already with judges, attorneys, to present the information, share insights, and gather their feedback. Phenomenal. So I want you to create an organizational system. Remember, day 4, we talked about structure. We talked about the importance of having a structured process for the entire journey of your book, which then is going to be the entire journey of your marketing strategy, with the book being one of the pieces of that. So you shared with us, you have these meetings. How are you organizing that? Who are those judges? How do you plan to stay in contact with them? How will you use the book as a tool of authority so that they know you're serious? So I want you to really kind of create some structure around. Phenomenal that you got the meeting. Excellent.
Absolutely.
And now put some structure around it, okay? And we will help you, Miss P. We will help you. We got you.
We got you. Don't worry about that.
Let's see. Oh, Miss Jindai is here. She says, I have to take a moment to give a huge shout out to Naja and my amazing editor, Heather. Their expertise and guidance made my book a reality, and I couldn't have asked for a better team to bring this vision to life. From refining the message to ensuring every detail was polished to perfection, they truly poured their hearts and skill set into this project. If you're an aspiring author looking for top tier support, okay, Miss Jindai, I see you giving us a commercial. We love you. We love you. We love you. And first of all, I do what I would, if I can, just take a moment. So Jindai just published her book, and
gorgeous. It's
I need to do a stop share real quick. Hold on.
It's gorgeous.
Wait a minute. We're just taking a break for a quick commercial.
Which is well deserved, because your book is beautiful. And I mean, yes, the information is amazing, but the visual of your book is wow.
Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on one second. I just want to pull up the book cover, because it's a phenomenal book. And let me just make sure. I think this is the latest one. Yes. It's a phenomenal book. And the content and what this woman is doing for young women and their
Oh,
families
praise the
and
Lord.
communities that are in period poverty, and to educate them so that they can start to really oh my goodness, I'm going to share my screen really quickly so you can see her book cover. Here we are.
Look at that. Oh
Is it
my word.
So this is Emerging Gracefully. Hold on, let me just see really quickly. Did I? Okay, this is Emerging Gracefully, a guide to navigating a girl's menstrual cycle with confidence and pride. So one of the things that we also love to do, and that, you know, we've talked to Jendai about this, we talk to all of our clients about, is who can you partner with? So you know what I'm thinking, Heather, we need to do? We need to like bring all of our clients together for like an online networking event.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's so many crossover opportunities. There's so much. Who can you collaborate with? Who can you partner with? Who can you bring in on who's doing something? So we have one client who's a teacher who actually supports women, who supports teachers to teach them how to talk to young women, to empower them and not to undermine them and to, you know, make them feel less than. So someone like that, she's a PhD, with someone like Jendai, who's a brilliant mind and who is an advocate for young women and who is a huge part of her community, really kind of lifting all of these girls up. One, just the power of having two like minds, but two, having the power of two people with their own network that are disconnected from each other. So now it becomes explosive, right? And so that can also be, and I believe we said that, let me take this share off. I'm going to share back here. I think we said here, partnerships. Your partnership strategy should absolutely be a part of whichever direction you're going. I don't know what happened. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm just way too excited, like way too excited for my own good. Jendai knows, girl, once I get into it,
yeah, we can't stop.
I just cannot stop.
But I think this is a good point to also say that one of the things that you know, you kind of know, right? Because you have people that are in your circle and they lift you up and they encourage you and support and whatever. But one of the things that I learned, please not doing, from just business connections is honestly, and this has proven 100%, I like 10 out of 10 recommend collaboration and partnership is the quickest, best, and I want to say easiest, but I don't mean it in a term of like the going is always easy, right? But that is literally the best way to grow without it is the fastest way to gain traction.
So I'll tell you how Heather and I met. Heather and I met, and both of our lives, our businesses have been changed because of each other and our partnership and our collaboration. But we met because I saw her post something on Facebook. She and I were not friends. It happened to come up on someone else's feed, and I saw it. And the first thing I felt Heather before I heard Heather, I felt her energy, her goodness. I was like, I don't know who this chick is, but I want to know more, right? What's the 3-word marketing? You got to know them, like them before you trust them. Once you trust them, you have a client, customer for life. So at first I was like, I kind of like her. I didn't know why I liked her, right? So I wanted to know her. So I went in and I was listening to the content, and she was talking about storytelling, right? If you've been here in days 1, 2, 3, and 4, we talked about Heather's journey of being her superpower is storytelling. And so she was talking about storytelling, and I was looking for a new editor. Now I'm all about energy. I would rather hire someone that I've never met, but my gut tells me something is great about them, than to like sit down and someone gives me their resume and everything looks perfect, but I have a bad feeling. So I had a great feeling about Heather. And immediately I had her work on a few projects of ours. and it was great. My clients loved her. She and I worked really well together. We still had never met. So then several months later, she comes to LA, we meet and we fall in love and we got married. No, I'm just kidding.
We did cry. We did cry when we hugged
We
the
did
first
cry.
time.
It was a love fest, let me just tell you. And so that's a really good example of when you add partnerships and when you add collaboration into whichever direction you're going, whether you want to create a movement, whether you want to create money, whether you want to create whatever it is that you want to create, partnership should absolutely be on that list. So what I challenge everyone on this webinar to do right now, I want you to write 20 people that you could potentially partner with who can be a source of support for your book. Now, you don't have to know this person, but they do have to have a level of visibility, meaning they have a following, or they have, you see that people seem kind of engaged when they post something, or maybe they've written a book of their own, whatever it might be. You can maybe 5 of those people can feel out of reach. 5 of those people can feel like easy breezy cover girl. They will say yes. And then those other 10 should be people that can challenge you a little bit, and it doesn't feel like it will be hard, but you know that there's a potential of making that happen. So I want to challenge you all to really build that list tonight, because that's your wealth strategy there. That's your wealth strategy. Okay, so step 3, build a long-term vision. We really talked about how you want to, I really want you to ask yourself how you want to leverage your book over the next year, 3 years, and 5 years, because today is only the beginning. If you've launched your book in the last 365 days, your book is just beginning. If you launched your book in the last 3 months, honey, you are an infant, okay? And so...
But also, I think, and this is jumping way ahead.
Yeah.
Josh and I talked about this before we went live, in that part of your 1, 3, well, not your first year, but 3 and 5 for sure. You, depending on what the topic of your book is, like Jendai is right, because it's about helping girls and young women, create normalcy and even magic around menstruation, right? Like science, we're always learning more. And so she may have updates to her book based on whatever it is, because for whatever reason, I guess medical science finally decided to, I don't know, women's bodies are different than men's. So we should learn more about them and how different medicines and things react with them. Anyway, she may find out that there is information that she needs to update in her book. And so now you have a 2nd edition and a re-release, or a 3rd edition and a re-release, right? Like there's always going to be updates and evolution to your book that can then generate buzz. If you had buzz and buzz kind of tapered, now you can make an update, and now you can buzz again.
And I would say 25% of our business comes from people who've already written a book, but they want to make improvements, or they feel like their book is outdated in some way, or when it was published the first time, whomever they worked with didn't quite, it's like going and getting your hair done from someone you've never worked with, and you're like, oh man, my hair is just not right. And then you go back to your tried and true, and then you feel like you're fly. Well, that's what we do with our clients. We give them the fly girl look, okay? I don't know why that analogy came up, but just go with it. Just go with it.
It is showing our age just a
just a little bit. So really, by defining success early, you create a book that works for you rather than just sitting on Amazon and waiting for sales.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We want this book, and I am, particularly because there are conversations about tariffs right now. We don't know what's going to be happening with tariffs in China and in Canada and in Mexico. Thank you. And so, oftentimes people will do their book purchases on Amazon on what's called POD, or print on demand. Now, when you are ordering on print on demand, it's usually, there's a premium that you pay for that, because you don't have to hold inventory. You're not having to put a whole bunch of money up front. But the benefit of holding inventory is that your cost goes down. So I want you all to consider, if you are in that phase of book printing and you have to think about, print on demand or holding inventory, I want you to consider holding inventory right now, because those tariffs are going to kick our butt, and you need to order sooner than later. So if you're ordering from China, your order needs to be in by Saturday, which is when these tariffs are supposed to kick in. You can message us. I would love to talk to you about how we can help you. We actually have a whole department. I am the department, but we have a department that can help you really put in orders of 50, minimum of 50 or more, and it does reduce your prices. So that's a whole other conversation, but an important one to have in this very moment. Okay, let's move on. So we want to talk to you about some people that I respect, and I believe Heather respects, that have really, they started from zero. And I want you to remember, every last one of us starts at zero. I don't care who you are or where you've grown to. All of us start at zero. And so I don't want you to see these examples that we're showing you right now and to think, oh, well, yeah, but as soon as you say, yeah, but, you're making an excuse that isn't valid for you. You can create anything that you desire in this world. I know this because of where I came from and what I've created for my own life. I know it to be true for me, and I know it to be true for you. So as you're watching these examples or looking at these examples, I want you to know they all started at zero. And I know because Arlen Hamilton started off homeless. And she ended up creating a venture capital firm.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
She's phenomenal.
Look her up on YouTube for some of her things. She's, oh my God.
Phenomenal. She literally, was it I think maybe it might be 6 months now. 6 months ago, she started a membership. So she had already generated a little bit of like celebrity, if you will, because she started a YouTube channel that kind of started at zero. And then she got Mark Cuban to invest in her venture capitalist firm, which gave her a little bit of cachet. All of these things, she was putting one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. So 6 months ago, she created a membership. That membership had 0 people in it when I invested my little $99 a month. What she's doing in that community, I don't really need to learn. I already know it, but I wanted to have access to her community, right? So this is another way that people have access to other communities, are by investing in people that have a like mind and a like community that you're looking to get access to. Within a short amount of time, she had thousands of people at $99 per month in her community. She, just from that membership, which started because we all got her book, we all came into her world because of her book. Now we're in this $99 membership where she's basically teaching people to do what she's doing. So if you were to just observe her, you could have taken that as the class. But we wanted to be a part of the community. Thousands of dollars. She's making upwards of $100,000 a month just by her membership. She also has additional, she speaks. She spoke at the Black MBA organization, which I'm a part of, and I have ties to the organization. So they hired her and they paid her a nice amount of money to speak, but she speaks to all kinds of organizations. She has mentorship programs, paid online courses. Now she has her podcast, but she slowly, but now not so slowly, has built up her brand, and she's building her empire. She is a phenomenal person to model if you have a business that you're looking to create. Mara Saboni. So she wrote a book called The Battle for Home. Now her book is a memoir. It's actually, she's not a businesswoman per se. She's an architect, a Syrian architect, who took her story, she turned it into a memoir, and from that, she's monetized it to become an internationally recognized expert on architecture and urban reconstruction. So she's had fellowships, she's had global speaking engagements, and she's done TED Talks. And so sometimes your book isn't a how-to, sometimes your book isn't the business book. It can be your personal story that infuses something that really a larger audience wants access to. You may or may not know Ramit Sethi. He wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He wrote this book quite a while ago, and his entire platform has been, he has leveraged this book to the tilt. So he started off as a coach and he was, doing what we all do, just going, he was speaking, quickly really created a community of people that he was coaching on this whole financial literacy. And he does it in a very elegant way. But now he has a TV show on, I believe it's Netflix. He has a podcast on YouTube that he monetizes. He has a paid membership community. He does live workshops. I mean, this guy does it all. And it's all around this one topic of helping people to be rich, not rich only in money, but he talks about, he doesn't own a home, and that's a big thing for him. A big part of his platform is like, it's not just about home ownership. And I mean, his financial information is very polarizing, and sometimes in being polarizing, you get rid of an entire group of people that are totally out of alignment with your message, but you welcome people who it absolutely serves. And so your goal, and we've talked about this over the last 5 days, it's not to have everyone love you. It is the opposite of that, is to have a niche group of people who really adore, they know you, they like you, and they completely are fanatical about you. And a whole lot of people that probably don't like you. They don't like your message. They don't like what you stand for. And that's okay. That's okay, because we are not meant to serve and we're not meant for everyone to love. I believe that through and through. Fumio Sasaki, he wrote a book called Goodbye Things. So he was a former overworked Japanese editor, and he wrote about how decluttering transformed his life. Yeah. And so, kind of like Marie Kondo, his book has led to speaking engagements, to consulting, licensing deals for translated versions worldwide. This guy has done digital courses. He has brand collaborations and a YouTube channel, all on minimalism. But he started out as an employee. Mm-hmm. He started out as Heather, working for an organization, and decided that he wanted to write his own book based on his own story. How many of you can identify with that? How many of you have been in a place that you didn't want to be, it no longer served where you wanted to grow, and you knew that there was another way? Mm-hmm. All of us. All of us. Okay. And then Bola Sokumbi, she wrote a book called Clever Girl Finance. And she wrote this book specifically for women of color who want to break generational poverty. She grew her finance education platform, Clever Girl Finance, and it's not just about the book. She has the whole ecosystem into a multi-million-dollar business. And she has membership sites, digital courses, and brand partnerships. Not one of these people started out knowing it all, having the team and the strategy in place. All of them started small, but for all of them, a book was a core part of their strategy to becoming what they are today.
I also think it stands to note that everyone joining us tonight, Naja, myself, and everyone that Naja's featured here, none of these people, well, they may have, like Arlen Hamilton was homeless and started her empire and all of that, but a lot of people have regular 9-to-5 jobs and they just need something extra, and they know that they have a story to tell that they could capitalize on. And I think for women especially, and no shade to the guys, but for women especially,
we love you guys,
because pardon me?
I said we love you guys.
I mean, yes, but the American wage gap for women is very real. Mm-hmm. As a white woman, my equal pay day is like March, right? Like, so I have to work from January to March to make equal to what a white guy makes just in January. For Black women, July. And for Latinx women, August. So the corporate American wage gap is very real. And I'm not saying we should all just go out and quit jobs, right? Because let's be real, health insurance in America is no joke, right? And so if you want to stay at your 9-to-5, let's do that. But that doesn't mean you can't write your book and create these revenue streams so that the
Yes.
corporate American wage gap is never a concern.
Yes, yes, yes. I just had a conversation just before we jumped onto our live with one of our challenge guests and attendees, and she was saying her girlfriend just lit a fire under her butt this weekend, and that she has a job. It can be really difficult and challenging. You come home tired, but she's ready, and that takes commitment, right? But it also, as importantly, it takes structure and a plan. So you can have the fire and you can have the excitement and you can have the inspiration, but without a plan, someone to hold your hand, without a strategy, it just becomes more difficult. So you need to integrate those two. You need to integrate the mindset with the action plan. And that's really where someone like Rainmaker Publishing that comes in to support that process.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then finally, we have Sayaka Murata, who wrote a book called Convenience Store Woman, and hers is very interesting. It's actually not a business book or anything like that. It's kind of like a cult. It's a cult fiction, if you will. So she wrote about a woman working in a convenience store, reflecting on societal norms in Japan. Her book led to film rights sales, international translations, and brand sponsorships. So she actually, and it's all, you all should read this. It's just so well done. It's excellent. But her additional streams are literary festival appearances. So she attends, say, the LA Festival of Books, but not with a booth. She's a speaker at these events, right? And so how does she do that? She positioned herself. There's a different level of marketing that comes along with wanting to become a speaker at these events than just wanting to purchase a booth. Mm-hmm. And but I know that we all can create that, right? It just takes what? Structure, strategy. And now she also does paid author talks and an adapted TV series. So if you have more of a fiction concept, now there are ways to monetize that beyond just book sales. One of the ways that we've done this with one of our romance clients was her entire series is based in Chicago. And so we looked at what were some of the local places that she was talking about in her book, and we reached out to them to become sponsors in the book, because why is that attractive to someone like a business? Because a book lives forever, which means that their message, their business, their service, their product will live indefinitely. And that is way more attractive than a 30-second spot on television. Mm-hmm. Right? So think about that. Think about that. So I'm going to run through this really quickly. These are just some ideas on if you wanted to actually make $1 million in your business. These are some ways to actually make that happen. So for a coach with offerings of a $997 offering, a $10,000 offering, and a $25,000 offering, this kind of shows you they would need to sell 250 of that $997, 40 of the 10,000, 10 of the 25. They could look at speaking engagements ranging from 5,500 and getting 10 speaking engagements. The average speaker's fee is $7,500, $7,500 to $12,000 for a speaking engagement. So we went on the low end there. And then when you start to look at book sales, at a $20 book that you sign, there's 23 books, and that will take you to $1 million, right? So this strategy looks like using the book to drive traffic to lower cost offerings and then upsell to higher ticket programs, promoting exclusive bonuses or access to premium coaching for book buyers, and then offer bulk book purchases for event attendees and clients. And that's where Heather and I were talking about really holding inventory so that you have the lowest price output investment, but for the highest return. And you keep 100% of those royalties. So rather than doing a split like with an Amazon at 60% or 70%, you're keeping anything above your cost. So if the cost, so this book costs me $2.30, I believe. I sell it for $20 signed. So Anything above that $2.30, I keep, right? So imagine doing that at scale when you have speaking engagements. Imagine doing that at scale when you are doing festivals and you're going out to these types of events. It also gives you room for discounts, right? I could still sell this book for $10 and still have a very nice profit.
Mm-hmm. So, Jen Day says she's trying to get in that income bracket with $7,000 speaking engagements, 5,000 books sold. And after you named your price, she's like, "Who's your printer?"
So my book is we have a partnership with a printer who does this, but so Jendai, this book is all black and white. Yours is so stunning. It's also all color, and it's also
Stunningly beautiful.
all phenomenal imagery. So you getting a $2 price is only going to China. And again, there's now with those tariffs, it's definitely going to take that cost up. So okay, okay. Okay, so when we look at example 2 of a motivational speaker with a corporate training and speaking engagements, this is more Miss P, right? So Miss P, if you're looking at that $1 million, we're looking at $1 million revenue for you. You're looking at training of 50 to 65,000 per client. Now, the difference between your type of client here, corporate training, is they are used to paying those high dollars rather than coaching a woman who has a small business. You want to really look at corporate training. And your goal would be to secure 10 training clients per year. That gives you the 500,000. You look at your speaking engagements of between 10 and 20 per engagement, and then your book sales of $20, $25 per book. So all of these numbers, you start playing with these numbers becomes a puzzle, right? This is like a game where you get to say, you know what can I create and who can I find that wants that thing? And that's really, at the end of the day, that's the game that we're playing. Who can I find that's willing to pay and invest in the thing that I'm providing? And so you get to test that. There are times our prices range from $3,000 to $45,000. So our range, and we've had as many people pay us for 3,000 as we've had for 40, 45, sometimes actually 50, depending on add-ons, 50,000. There are people who want to invest in what it is that you do and the work that you provide. You have to commit to that. That may not happen tomorrow. That may not happen next month, but is it possible? 100%. Do you need a plan? 100%.
Of course. Of course. Because a wish without, what is it? A dream without a plan is just a wish.
Yes. All things are possible. Who said that? Put that one up. Put that up. That's what we need to see. All things are possible.
All right, Miss P. That's what we're talking about. Because
absolutely.
honestly, and I'm just going to do a little side road here for a minute. But one of the things that I have found to be really powerful in making sure that what I want happens, it spurs me to take that first step, is I speak as if the reality I want is now. So it's not, I want to write a book. It's, I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book. It's not, I want my book to open these doors for me. It's, I'm going to write my book and I'm going to start commanding a lot of money to go into corporate training or, whatever it's going to be. Right. But, and, the money's always in my account, like things like that. Like, because before any actions happen, we think them. And then if we say them, we're more likely to do them.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Absolutely. And then the pragmatic part of me is like, we need that, and we need action, we need strategy, and we need it to be clear. So sometimes we overwhelm the whole strategy with a whole bunch of things. But if we were to go back to the beginning of this, I said, we start with one thing, because if you start with all of it, you'll do none of it. And I've seen that time and time again. That's not me being negative. That's not me thinking that it's not possible to be a multi-passionate entrepreneur. That means that in order for us to create anything, we start with one thing. So, with that, this strategy is positioning the book to showcase expertise in corporate leadership, productivity, or team dynamics. So, I have a client, I think I may have already mentioned, she's a doctor. She's in the process, we're converting her thesis into a book. And she is actually using that because she has it's like $600,000 opportunity that requires her to be a published author. So we're not writing this book because she wants to sell it or get on speaking gigs. It's because this one specific opportunity that she has is requiring of her to be a published author. And so sometimes, sometimes we turn the strategy on its head, and we have to look at, wait a minute, this is an opportunity that wasn't there before, and it's telling me that I need to be published. So there's that. Use the book as a premium leave behind for corporate clients to upsell to training. So this is another great, right? They say your book is your business card, and I believe that to a certain extent. We can use this book. I have so many of these in my car, because when someone says, what do you do? And I say, I'm in publishing, and I make it very simple, because I don't want to say, oh, I publish entrepreneurs, because if they want a memoir, well, that's business, that they're going to say, oh, that's too bad because I am writing a memoir. And so they're not going to consider me. But when I say I'm in publishing, and they're like, oh, I have a book idea, I say, oh, great. I have a book. I'm going to gift you. I'm not going to sell them this for $20. Why? Because I want this to be a lead magnet for them to learn a little bit more about me. They don't know me. They don't like me. They definitely don't trust me. So how do I take that opportunity for that one question, what do you do, to turn into a potential client? And then the last is a wellness instructor with YouTube and brand deals. And I'm telling you, we are in a world where YouTube and brand deals is where it's at. And if you know how to do it, I had $100,000 in brand deals because I traveled the world, 12 countries over 12 months, documenting wellness around the world. And so before I left, I sent out this letter to these brands, and they were sending me clothes. I had $100,000 in both sponsorships and cash. And I had never been an influencer. I had never done a brand deal. I didn't have 20,000, let alone 10,000 followers, but I did have an engaged, small, committed following. But another thing that I did was I had a story, I had a media kit, and I had the Naja, the Pamela Johnson, that's my mama, hustle. And so a little Pamela Johnson hustle goes a long way, okay?
Whatever makes it work it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So wellness instructor, and then this is just one way of doing that. So promote the book across YouTube and social media. If you're not utilizing YouTube, I know it feels like, oh, just one more thing. I want you to just get clear. Which is the thing that you can focus on over the next 90 days? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it YouTube? Commit with a weekly. If it's Instagram, you want daily. But if it's a video on TikTok, YouTube, you can do what's called repurposing content. So you can create it in one area and then post it across the board. I started a podcast called The New 50. And I interview women over 50 who have some kind of phenomenal message, some kind of phenomenal story. Now, I'm working to commit more, but it's helped me grow just a little bit more my YouTube following, because that's my personal next goal. Is to not only build YouTube so that I can generate and bring in new clients, but also so that I can monetize the platform in and of itself.
Yes.
So,
I'm sorry, but YouTube also, I think we need to remember that YouTube is second only to Google for search engine.
I thought it was before Google.
No, it Google's first and then YouTube.
I thought it was YouTube number one. Okay. So yes, absolutely. As far as search engine, and there are ways to do that, right? There are absolutely ways to do it. But the first thing is to just start. Okay. So, okay. So now what we want to do is we want to give you some homework. We have this thing called Chatty Chat. We're actually not going to do an AI exercise today. We are going to do something a little bit different. Get your journals out because I want you to write. I want you to first do step one and you're going to define your millions, right? We're going to go back. We talked about it a moment ago, but now you're going to solidly write in what your plan is. What does millions mean for your book? Choose one. Don't choose multiple because I don't want you to choose multiple. I just want you to choose one for now. Does your millions mean 1,000,000 lives that you impact? Is it $1 million in business growth? Is it 1,000,000 downloads, sales, and views? Which just views and downloads convert to sales. Remember that. Or is it 1,000,000 opportunities, speaking gigs, media features, partnerships, collaborations? What does that look like for you? So I want you to put that in your journal. If you haven't purchased your workbook, you can still get that. We're going to definitely still keep that open. Okay, step 2 is you're going to map out your monetization path. So for Miss P, hers is speaking engagements. So her first one is making an impact, right? So her first millions is hers is impact, and then her monetization path is speaking engagements, right? So what will your book lead to? Is it going to lead to courses, speaking, coaching, workshops, brand deals, etc.? I'm going to rewind. We're going to rewind just a little bit. So 1, define your millions. What does millions mean for your book? Is it millions of lives impacted? Is it $1 million in business growth? Is it 1,000,000 downloads, sales, or views? Is it 1,000,000 opportunities? And this one is really important because that's going to be the direction that you're going to go and that you're going to lead with and the effort that you're going to be putting toward that. Okay. Now, what's the monetization path? Miss P, speaking. What is it for you? What is it for you, Jindai? I think for Jindai, it's actually classes. So she teaches these workshops for young women. And so her book can lead people into group workshops on moon cycles and she has this beautiful list of workshops that she provides. So I'm actually going to answer that one for you and say workshops. And then how will your book help you attract and nurture your audience? And then 3 is we want you to commit to an actionable next step, right? So based on your chosen monetization path, what's the one immediate action you can take? Create an email sequence for book buyers, develop a signature talk based on your book's content. You want to outline a course or membership tied to your book's teachings. You want to reach out to corporations or organizations for bulk sales or sponsorships. I just had someone who had I think it was like $4,200 in book sales from Comcast. Never met anyone at Comcast. They found him on Amazon. All of his metadata was on point. His topic was something that they were looking for. And he said, how did you find me? They said, oh, we were just on Amazon looking for this topic and yours seemed interesting. So he ended up having a bulk sale of about $4,200. Now, what if he was proactive and was reaching out to, now that he knows corporations like Comcast are interested in what he does, he can put a whole corporate list together. He can identify, we do bulk sales, and how many $4,500 sales would it require for him to actually make $1 million off of his book, right? So reach out to corporations or organizations for bulk sales or sponsorships. These corporations, they need you. They need your audience. They need your message. They need your brain power. God bless you.
Thank you.
So we want you to write your next step in your journal and commit to taking action within the next 30 days. And I'm going to challenge you to even take action within the next 7 days, because 30 days is like a year. 30 days is like saying, never mind.
I feel I'm looking around like, who is she talking
to? I'm talking to me. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to everyone on this chat. I'm talking to all of us. So y'all, let me tell you, Heather and I, we spent, how long did we create this challenge?
Well, we spent a lot of time up until the beginning of this week. And then we've spent more time, Naja in particular has spent more time refining this presentation so that we are really.
It was like 3 months before, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh
3
yeah,
months.
we've been in planning since November.
So we had an idea. We had a conversation, and we were thinking about marketing strategies for 2025. We were in strategy planning for 2025, and I said, you know what? I want to do a 7-day challenge. I hadn't done a challenge in ages. I had not done a challenge in ages, but I wanted the challenge to. I wanted my book. I wanted the challenge to support book sales and vice versa. So I used the book as a launching pad for people to come into this challenge. The challenge is everything that is in this book. Well, not everything, but just about everything that's in this book is in this challenge. We use this challenge to move people into working with us. We put this challenge on Eventbrite. We put it all over social media. We had about 65 people that registered from Eventbrite. Now, all 65 of those people are not in this challenge. We have people that are watching on YouTube. We have people that are watching on Facebook. We have people that are, where else is it? Oh, LinkedIn. This course is on this live is on LinkedIn. And we have people that have shown up live inside of this Riverside tool, right? Yeah. But even though everyone who registered, which was a couple of hundred people, didn't show up live, that's a couple of new 100 people that we can be marketing to. Yep. And so everything that we're talking about and that we've talked about over these 5 days, understanding what your book is meant to do for you. Day one. Day two, getting clear on who your audience is and niching that down so specific. No generalizations inside of that. Day three, what was day three?
Day three was identifying your core topic. So answering the question, what's your book?
Answering the question, what's your book? That's the piece that you all came for, or that's what you thought you came for. But you have gotten so much more in that first 3 days. And then because we want you to hire us to help you write your book, to help you edit your book, we want to publish your book, we want to market your book. So of course, we're going to do all of those things inside of these 5 days so that you can see how we work. You get to find out. Now you know us, right? I'm hoping you like us. And the trust is being established. Mm-hmm. If we were to do this 3 times a year, that's 600 new people that we can market to. If we did this once a month, that's 12 times. What's 12 times? 90. That's 1200. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That part, whatever she said. So we're not just telling you what to do. We're not just telling you to take a journal and to write this stuff down. We're telling you we practice what we preach. We know this works. We know this works. I have made so much money doing exactly what it is I am telling you all to do. And I didn't only do it as the owner of a publishing company. I did it as the owner of a marketing company and as a business strategy company and as of a tea company. So we practice what we preach, and we want you to know that when you practice what you preach, you will start to see the results that you desire to get.
100%.
Okay. So with that, we would like to introduce you to P-School. you go. So P-School is the MBA for entrepreneurs who are ready to publish their game-changing book. And we've spoken to a lot of you, and some of you were saying, you know what, we don't want to do our book over 16 weeks, or we don't actually, like, we have a different vision for what it is that we need. And so what we actually want to do is we want to invite you to schedule a call with me. But first, we want to talk a little bit about some of the clients that we've worked with and that we love and that have really seen transformations in putting their book out there. We just worked with a client. Her name is Curious Compassion. She wrote a book, a journal. She created a journal because she's an accountability coach like you've never seen an accountability coach. She does it in a whole other kind of way. So she wanted to have an accompaniment to her work, and Curious Compassion is her book. Heather was the editor, and she absolutely loved working with Heather. Jumpstart Your Money Journey. We've talked a lot about Rashia and her book, and the work that she's done, and the changes and the transformations that she's made in the work that she's done since she published her book. When Dating Works, just another project that was really phenomenal. We have Sound the Alarm, a gentleman who's now writing his second book with us. He's a former police officer who was sexually molested, and he really wanted to help other first responders to heal themselves because first responders are going out with this trauma, and then of course she's causing more trauma. And so his mission is to speak across the globe to first responders and really talk to them about their wellness strategy or approach. The Demise of the City is a client. We're actually going to be working on her second book, but she's also hiring us. She puts on these retreats. She owns a $650,000 acre ranch, and she teaches people how to prepare themselves for the end of the world. She teaches them about canning and shooting. They build a yurt. She does all of these things on her property because she truly believes that everything that's happening in the world today is moving toward the end. That's her belief. And so we're helping her create, and she has a huge following of people who also believe what she believes. We worked with a woman who wrote a book called In the Shadow of a Maverick, and her journey has been, just about really holding her father up as one of the #1 architects in the US, and some of the work that he did, and really how it impacted how she has shown up in the world. And so she does a lot of talks. She's been able to get her book into bookstores. And then Awesome Aging 101, we worked with this author for her 70th birthday. She wanted to put this book out there. We did it in 7 days. And now she coaches other women her age to really live an awesome aging life. So these are just some of the clients that we've worked with. So we really just want to share with you that your book is just the beginning. Your manuscript is a seed. It's what you do next that determines how big it grows. So whether your millions comes from impact or income or influence, the most important thing is that you take action beyond just publishing. So we want to know, what's your next move? Drop it in the chat or share it in the community and let us know really what is your next step. And I want to invite you again. We know that P-School is not for everyone. So we want to have a conversation about our membership community, which I believe is for all of you. We want to keep you all in community. So we're still in the process of formulating that membership, and we will be introducing that to you very soon. But in the meantime, we want to know how else we can support you. So please, Jaspier, can you drop a link into the publishing console? Thank you, Kenyon. Yes, you are so welcome. Yes, we have a call next week. I look forward to it. Thank you for being here. So anyone who's on this call, we want to extend an invitation for you to schedule a call so that we can have a book brainstorming discovery call. And I want to learn about your project, what it is that's holding you back from becoming published or marketing your book, and see how we can help you really begin to create those millions, whatever that might mean for you. So
I can hear you just a little.
I know. Okay. Fancy.
Okay.
So what we want to do is, if you've been here for 5 days and you have gone through this whole challenge with us, we want to send you a certificate of completion from Rainmaker Publishing. We want to send you with your name and just honoring the fact that you've been here all 5 days. If you haven't been able to be here all 5 days, no problem. If we're going to be sending out the recordings, and if you're able to go through all 5 of those days at your pace over the next week, then we still would love to be able to send you a certificate of our 5 days challenge. We want to say congratulations to all.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
We did it. Our CFO helped us get here. We want to thank Asmir, my team, and all of you for the live showed up on social media. And for now, if you have questions, please email them to me at Naja, N-A-J-A, at timetogetpublished.com. That's N-A-J-A at T-I-M-E-T-O getpublished.com. And there you go.
And thank you, everyone, so much
for
your time and your consideration.
It was a bit loud.
You know, the wonders of technology, it is both the bane and the blessing of our existence. So
absolutely. But just to repeat myself, if you have any questions or if you'd like to schedule a call to learn how we can support you in your publishing journey or your book marketing journey, please schedule a call with me. And you can email me at Naja, N-A-J-A, at getpublished.com. In the meantime, we wish you all so much success, and we cannot wait to be able to purchase your book and to read it and to see you on the big stages, making changes, making an impact, and making your own millions. Have a good one.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. Okay.